back to the other side of Wyoming with your host ASOS. I am obviously your host ASOS. We're going to hope that everything works out right now. I had something creepy happen before I started filming. My lamp went off and I was like, I'm out here in the dark all by myself. This really is a spooky kooky ookie. So we are going to get into the spooky ookie kooky in just a second. I just want to say hi. Happy New Year's. I hope everything is going well for everybody. Anybody that watches, I know that I haven't posted in a while, and I really do like making videos and doing spooky things because it's just what makes me happy. And I apologize for disappearing, but we are not going to do this again, and I'm going to try so hard to get this video done. It has felt impossible, but life is always a challenge. You got to go through it. You got to go through the little waves. So it is 30 degrees outside right now. Let me check the weather. Really quick so you guys can understand what life is like here. Yeah, it's like 34 degrees here where I'm at currently, and I hope everybody's staying warm and toasty, and let's get into it. If you know nothing about Wyoming, same. I know for sure that it was a Wild West state because it wasn't a state before it was a state. It was a territory. That meant that the government really didn't want to be out there. They saw it as, you're going westward, good luck. We have certain posts out there for you, but other than that, you guys need to figure it out. And that was how a lot of the states came about. We all know about Kansas, bloody Kansas. The government was very much like, you're going to go westward, you figure it out, you let us know what you need, but other than that, you do you out there. And people really did do them. So I want to do a huge discrepancy, even though I'm going to put a little discrepancy at the beginning of the video. Do be warned that we are talking about a lot of murder. We are talking about a lot of violence, some suicides. So if this is triggering for you, please, 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 please make sure that you just respectfully skip over those parts, or just watch with caution. Two famous abandoned towns in Wyoming, Kerwin and Gebo. Kerwin is reportedly to be insanely haunted, while Gebo has a haunted graveyard. There are rumored sources of strange singing and wailing being heard from the town's battered buildings. Now, here is where I get a little skeptical, me as somebody who's a huge believer in the paranormal. When the wind blows a certain way, apparently, that is when you start hearing a lot of the noises. So to me, I'm thinking that it's just really the wind that's making this noise, and it's not so much paranormal related. It's just that it's so run down and abandoned that when the wind blows through all that area, it causes a lot of noises, and it's not really activity. In my opinion, we would have to go and definitely check it out and see for ourselves. But for the most part, I believe that that's probably the source. All right. Now, our first spooky ookie kooky town in Wyoming is going to be Buffalo. And I gave it away there because I can barely always speak. We're going to Occidental Hotel in Buffalo, Wyoming. It was built in 1880. It served the community for over 140 years. It started out as a saloon, and it turned into a grand hotel welcoming the likes of Butch Cassidy and President Theodore Roosevelt. Now, sidebar. If you do not know who Butch Cassidy is, he is Robert Leroy Parker, a train and bank robber, leader of the Wild Butch Gang, and engaged in decades worth of crime. He died because of a gunshot wound. That's how most outlaws die, to be honest with you. From what I have read about, outlaws, there's tons of stories like that. It was a destination for pioneers and outlaws to enjoy a drink, round of cards, or some fights. Guests can find the original furniture and original bullet holes from that time period. Guests report one ghost is the daughter of an escort who haunts the halls named Emily. Emily died of illness inside the hotel. The young girl is spotted wearing a white dress and will tap on guests' shoulders at the bar. She's also known to move furniture to gain people's attention. It's a popular destination for those that want a haunted tour, or you can book a room. Definitely do book a room there. I want to go back to the whole escort things. I always think that that's a sad side product of these Western states. When everybody was moving this way, you do find that prostitution was big in these areas, and a lot of times it came with too much violence for these poor women and the children that were byproducts of this. So makes me kind of sad, but I definitely think you should book a room there and check it out for yourself. Now, the next one is such a cute place with a lot of paranormal activity. It is Irma Hotel in Cody, Wyoming. It was built in 1902 by Buffalo Bill Cody and named after his daughter. That is absolutely adorable. My dad is my best friend in the entire world, so I just feel like that is so cute. It is nestled in the heart of Cody, Yellowstone, known for the Wild West and its paranormal residents. The hotel is said to be haunted by friendly ghosts, and the original Buffalo Bill has been rumored to be seen. There are ghosts who like to play pranks on guests, turn on water, move around belongings, and move things while guests sleep. Room 35 and 37 are the most haunted room. But room 225 is Paul Stock's room. Other spirits include cavalry soldier who fought in the Confederacy, brings mischief to the hotel, seeing only his bottom half. The cavalry soldier is spotted in room 35, and those who stay the night report faucets turning on and off, belongings being rearranged. So if you're definitely going to book a room, I would try to see if they would get you into 35 if that's what you want, or if you're like, I don't want the paranormal, I'm looking at this to avoid the paranormal, then don't book room 35. Room 20 is the Colonial Cody Suite, and the spirit of his daughter, Irma Cody, she is said to wander the halls of the hotel, visit guests in the room. She likes to sit in her rocking chair, and it's believed that she watches over the hotel. Check it out for yourself. I definitely would want to book a room, if I'm very honest with you. I'm going to book room 35. I don't know about y'all. Next, we are going to go to Cheyenne, Wyoming, which to me, when I think about Wyoming, like Cheyenne is very much the one place there that I'm like, oh, I know Cheyenne, Wyoming. Never been, but I've heard of it for sure, and I would like to go one day. We're going to go to the Historic Plains Hotel. It opened in March of 1911 as Cheyenne's premier hotel with stained glass windows. It is now a local landmark and vacation stop that you can stay at today. I love stained glass windows. I think they're very beautiful architectural design in a building. The hotel is known for the legend of a woman named Rosie's. All right, now here we get into the darker side. The hotel is known for the legend of a woman named Rosie's who is staying with her husband on their honeymoon. One night, her husband went down to the hotel lounge for a few drinks, and he ended up meeting a prostitute. Rosie's caught them heading upstairs and went in a fit of jealous rage. She grabbed her gun and killed both of them before going to her room and ending her life as well. Many claim to see the three of them on the second floor. Hotel staff have heard laughter and crying from Rosie's suite. So if you're definitely going to go to this hotel, do be known that Rosie's is seen the most. Of course she is. You know, that was tragic. It was her honeymoon night. She's freshly married, and her man is with another woman. And that's just tragic. Absolutely tragic. And book a room. Check it out for yourself. See if you can see Rosie's or not. Next, we are going to go to Old Faith Inn in Yellowstone, Wyoming. Built in 1903, a National Historic Landmark, there are haunting tales, one of which is the Headless Bride, who was a wealthy woman who fell in love with a con artist. She told her family she would marry this man, but her family would disown her in the end. The woman took her inheritance and ran away with him. During their honeymoon, he chopped off her head, ran away with her money. Long before the body could be discovered, the Headless Bride is seen wandering the hotel searching for her lost lover. Do book a room ahead. It's very much recommended that you book a room ahead of time. That is just another tragic story of a poor woman being left, you know, from her man betrayed. This is a whole story of betrayal. I mean, no wonder that this one's haunting the hotel. Straight up betrayal. All right, now we're going to another tragic story about a lady. These are all tragic stories. Next, we're going to Rawlins, Wyoming. I actually like that name, Rawlins. It's a nice name. Wyoming Frontier Prison. It opened in 1901. It ran for over 80 years. It's a top haunted location. The prison has housed over 13,500 inmates, with over 200 people dying from executions, brutal violence. An infamous story is of a pie lady who lived in Rawlins and brought pies to the prisoners. Now, one of the inmates tracked her down and killed her upon his release. Now, guess what happened to him when he returned back to prison? Yeah, the inmates took revenge and they hung him from the top floor. It's very much, how dare you? I even felt like, how dare you? This lady was taking time out of her life to see good in people that most people would not see good in. I mean, when you look at prisoners, you don't sit there and feel sympathy most of the time for them. Yes, there are people that are wrongly convicted and are in jail for no reason, or they're there for light sentencings and they shouldn't be judged. But for the most part, when you look at prisoners, you do look at them in a negative light. And this lady saw something in these people and wanted to bring them kindness, and her kindness was only met with murder. It really deteriorates other people from wanting to do this, because then they could be tracked down by prisoners. And, I don't condone violence, but some could argue that he deserved being hung. And others could say, no, that was not the right approach. Now he's in prison for the rest of his life. Who knows why he got out? Who even knows why he was in prison in the first place? The stories just say that he murdered this poor lady, and everybody was upset about it, rightfully so. So visitors claim to see a ghost in the prison. Stories of guests have been touched on the shoulders or back, hair being tugged, hearing footsteps, whistling noises, voices, hearing your name being called, cellar doors opening, closing, benches being moved, and small items being out of place. During October is when they do have tours. So if you definitely need to check out a tour, I think that's a yes. We need to. We're moving into a story that upsets me so bad. I do not know how I'm going to contain myself for how upset this story makes me, okay? I put it on my TikTok. Excuse me, of how upset this made me, because I absolutely do not agree with this. We are going to Green River, Wyoming, and Sweetwater County Library. It is built on top of a graveyard, okay? And don't be like, should they move the bodies? No, they didn't. They did not move the bodies. They never moved the bodies. Never let someone tell you, we built this place on top of a graveyard and we moved the bodies. No, you did not. Do you know how much money, time, resources it takes to move a freaking cemetery? Okay, and how many people are working this job? Okay, because let me tell you, if they have one person working that job to move all those bodies, they are not moving that bodies. Okay, I'm sorry. They're not doing it. One person moving, God knows how many graves they had out here. They could have had 200 graves, and one person is supposed to move each and every single body. I bet that person took the money and went, oh yeah, I moved them. Yeah, I moved all those bodies. It took me days, months, but I did it. I did it for that 10 grand. No. Have you not seen horror movies? They never ever move the bodies. It's always proven. They always either miss one, miss a couple, or they did the job right at first. Because this happens. Like, people are lazy. Like, some people will do the job right halfway. Then halfway through, they realize how difficult it is to move bodies, gravestones, dig everything up, go put it where it needs to go, dig it down again. Like, the US is so disrespectful with the way that they treat their dead, and I get it. That's very un-American of me, but it's the truth. Look at the way that they treated indigenous people and the way that indigenous people respected their dead. You know, Egyptians respected their dead. Japanese respect their dead. You do not disrespect the dead. And I feel like here in the US, we're like, we want to build, 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 consume, 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 consume. And it's never a thought process of what it means to disrespect a burial ground, somewhere where somebody is resting in their final places. Which is why I'm saying, please, when I die, like, cremate me. Like, please, I beg of you. I don't want to be a body in the ground where one day they're going to decide that the cemetery was too full for capacity and they have to move all these bodies somewhere else. And then I get left behind. And now there's a library there on top of where I used to be buried. And all these people are just like, yeah, we're built on top of a previously graveyard. It's no big deal. And I'm sitting there underneath, like, it's a big deal for me because nobody knows where my body is. I can go on and on about a rant of how upset and triggered I get when these things happen. I mean, I boycotted um our our baseball park here in El Paso for years because I did not agree with, number one, what they were destroying in order to build the baseball park, but then number two, I also knew that they had found a body on home plate, and every time I go, I just feel that sense of tragedy, knowing that there was a body once found here. I just don't agree with it. I really don't. And again, I can go on a rant. I might cut out most of this rant, but let's get into it. Sweetwater County Library, Green River, Wyoming. In 1892, the Green River City Cemetery was over capacity. Plans were to move it to a new location. Now, many thought that they moved all the tombstones, all the bodies, and relocated them. However, in 1933, temporary housing was built for World War II veterans until 1956. During Reconstruction, they found bodies. They moved those bodies. While the lot was left abandoned, construction began yet again in 1979 for the county library. During this excavation, they found more bodies. And guess what else they found? An ancient skull with wisps of red hair. Idiots. I'm going to freaking rant about how much this upsets me. Like, this is number one, no, no, no. Okay? There's another story in here where I'm like, why? Okay? This is my first why. We're going to get to my second why in a little bit, okay? Since construction of the library, it has become a haunted place by no surprise by anybody, with books falling off its shelf, computers turning on and off. They keep a log of experiences. During more construction projects, guess what they find? More bodies, more bones. However, there was a cause for concern one day. Just pile on the just pile it on, pile it on, pile it on, pile it on, pile it on. They found bones infected with smallpox, and apparently it was still easily spreadable. So they basically dug up a disease and caused almost an outbreak. I don't think it did, based on my research. Nothing said that it did, but it could have. It really could have, okay? Now, a staff member tells a story of when she was working on her computer. Remember, this was like the 70s, 80s, 90s probably. Computers were not where they are today, okay? Even if it happened today, it would still be creeped out. Okay, so she turned away from her computer briefly. When she turned back, the whole screen went black except for this little portion of the screen, and it was blinking her name on it. And she sat there and she went, "This computer does not have word processing capabilities nor emails. How is it blinking my name?" Because you were built on top of a burial ground and you're disrespecting the dead, and the dead is very upset about it. Because you guys cannot be doing this stuff and thinking that it's just gonna not, it's not gonna, it's gonna be fine. It's fine. It's clearly fine. There are figures that walk past, ghost hunters and paranormal enthusiasts visit. They take photos of ghostly images. I'll show you one of the ghostly images that they showed me, and I was like, where? Where? I was like going up to the screen just trying to look for it. I couldn't find it, and I was like, sure, sure, sure. During October, they host haunted tours at night. If you want to do it, but please do a prayer or whatever you believe in, or just say something nice to the ghosts that are there, because their bodies are moved. Some of them probably are still buried out there and nobody knows about it. That's my rant. Oh, shoot. I'm so upset about it. I freaking knocked my thing over. Oh my gosh. Okay. Our next spooky ookie kooky location is the Virginia Hotel in Medicine Bowl, Wyoming. Sound like a wrestling broadcaster. I really can't talk, honestly. I think that sometimes when I do stuff like this, I think it's very empowering to do it, because I struggle to talk a lot, and talking's not my biggest thing, and I'm a hoarder inside of my house, and I just don't leave. So doing this sometimes, I'm like, I get to practice talking words out of my mouth. The Virginia Hotel in Medicine Bowl, Wyoming. The town of Medicine Bowl got its name from the river nearby. The Plains tribe, respect to all of our indigenous people. The Plains tribes made their bows from the elements found near the riverbanks, and it was known to give good medicine. During 1830, it was discovered by trappers and mountain men who thought it was a good location for a camp. But the boom did not happen until 1867. You can do the math on that. It's like 30 years. With the establishment of the Transcontinental Union Railroad, the Virginia Hotel had its grand opening in 1911. And it was the biggest hotel between Denver, Colorado, and Salt Lake, Utah during that time. The hotel was also known to be a comfortable place for travelers, meeting places, honeymoons, family dinners. It has it all. The hotel survived the Depression, World War II, with new economic goings. With renovations coming and reopening in 1984, it received designations as a National Historic Place. Today, the town is home to only 274 people with 184 housing units. Wow. The hotel is believed to be haunted by a woman who was staying at the hotel waiting for her fiance to come back from East. All these women. Poor, poor women. Ugh. She flung herself out the third-story window when he never returned. Today, people claim to hear her crashing through the window. There is also music heard by guests. Current staff members report items being moved and finding them in odd places. Book a room and see what you find. Next spooky ookie kooky location is the Sheridan Inn in Sheridan, Wyoming. For 130 years, it has been a community staple. I think that it's crazy that we are getting into 2024 and a lot of things were like decades ago. You know what I mean? Like they don't feel that far away, but they are. I always find it crazy. It's a favorite spot for those who refuse to leave. One of the most beloved employees, Mrs. Kate, they believe never left. Mrs. Kate moved into the hotel's third floor in 1906, remained for the rest of her life. She died in 1968 while renovations were being completed. A friend put her ashes into the walls so she could be the guardian of the inn. Many feel cold spots or have lights turned on and off. The inn does keep a log of activity that happens. All right, let's talk about who the hell would put ashes into the walls of a building. Like that's crazy to process. Like what if the owners, okay, that know that these ashes are in there, forget to warn the new owners. The new owners go and do renovations. They find an urn in there with ashes, and they're like, what the hell is this? Then they dump the urn somewhere else, right? Because they don't know what it is and they don't want this in their hotel. Then the activity gets worse and something happens, and we have a scary movie situation. Like imagine, okay, picture this scary movie, okay? New owners find the urn, okay? They find the urn, they find the ashes, they throw it out. Then all hell breaks out at the hotel, all right? All of a sudden, they can't build nothing. Everything that they built just gets like undone, messed up. or it keeps returning to the old hotel, and they keep finding themselves stuck in a loop, and they get a note that says, "Return my ashes." Then they see a figure, like a female figure, and it's Mrs. Kate. And they kind of like curse the dog, but kind of not curse the dog. And it's like, "Return the urn," but not really. You know what I mean? I think that would be like a really good movie of like what these new owners are in for, if anybody ever takes ownership of this and does not understand that there are ashes literally in the wall and not to remove them at all. All right. Next place that we're going to go to is the Wirt Hotel in Jackson Hole. It was built in 1941 and was the dream of the Wirt family. They paid $25 for each of the 4 lots that they bought. 23 20, 20 I can't even talk because I'm so baffled. $25 for each plot of land. Like, what? The hotel was a favorite spot in downtown Jackson Hole. In 1960, 2 children were killed by a family member in one of the hotel rooms. Many people believe that the children haunt the hotel, playing games, causing mischief. Locals claim that you can still see their faces peeking out of the window when you drive by. Now, here's why I want to talk about this place, because I was trying to do research, and one website talked about these 2 children that were unfortunately murdered, and another one just talked about a fire breaking out and a ghost of this maintenance worker, but they didn't talk about the children. And I had such a hard time finding more places, more websites, and more, resources talking about these 2 children and what happened to them, and I couldn't find any. It was like I was being delusional or something. So go to the hotel, check it out, see if they talk about it, see if they don't, because it was really, really weird to like research something and then unable to find more information about it. Whenever that happens, I do get really nervous. I'm like, why? It's weird. All right, we're finally getting away from hotels for now. For now. For now. We went to the Wonder Bar in Casper, Wyoming. It was founded in 1914 as a horse-friendly cowboy pool hall. Few iterations before gaining its signature name and location in 1930. The Wild West era brought gunfire to the bar along with its outlaws. With cowboys being the core clientele, the owners opened its door to their steeds to ride through through and exit through the back door. What a dope place. So you can ride through with your horse, get a drink at the bar, exit through the back. Okay, that's the way that it went. It was kind of like a horse drive through, all right? If you live in Texas, you know how we do that with Whataburger, but this was like legitly in the building, okay? You didn't have to go around the back, nothing. The Wonder Bar hosted several famous guests and infamous ones like Joe Lowndes from the Wild Bunch Gang. The recent shootout of 1980, where the patrons died falling from the stairs, is where they talk about a curse beginning. There were those who believed that the bar is cursed, with its main name changes and being sold with recent renovations as early as 2017. Visitors see apparitions, flickering lights, disembodied footsteps, hearing someone sit at the bar. Employees say that they see cowboy and female companions in white attire moving around room to room. Do go enjoy a bar and see if you see a ghost. If you are of age. If you are of age, go have a beer. If you're not of age, go somewhere else. Okay? All right. All right. I have spent 30 minutes ranting, and this is probably going to go down to less than this. Our last and final spooky ookie kooky ookie place is going to be South Pass City with our first serial killer of the area. Now, I am a big fan of reading into serial killers because I feel like it really gives you an insight of what to be watchful for, of mindful of. So, South Pass City. It was a gold rush boomtown in the 1860s. It had people moving westward, and it turned the city into a pioneer era tourist attraction, being a historic stop from 11 miles north of the Oregon Trail. The region was occupied by the Aparo Cheyenne Sioux tribes, who would who would attack those that would infringe on their homelands. Which I'm always on the indigenous side. Y'all were infringing on their land. What do you think they were gonna do? Welcome, come into our land. Here's everything that you want. No, that's. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. That's not how it works. That's no. Historians will argue over the factual accuracy of this local lore, but this is what you do need to know. The Barnett family had turned their ranch into a small inn where men who would stay with their gold and other valuables would never leave. There were 22 bodies that were found buried on this property. All right. Now, these men or guests would meet their deaths at the hand of Polly Bartlett, allegedly. The rumor is that Polly Bartlett poisoned their food with arsenic and robbed them. They obtained the arsenic through the guise of controlling rodents that made their guests uncomfortable. So, after a few of the disappearances at the inn, such as Tim Fartley from Omaha and Edmund Ford from South Pass, she was able to get away with it. 22 bodies, able to get away with it. It wasn't until the disappearance that stirred up an investigation of Barney Fortune. Once it was discovered that the Barnetts were the one to blame for his disappearance, the Barnett family went on the run, but they did not make it far. The family had a 13 grand reward on them. Polly died in jail, and Mr. Bartlett was killed in a duel before he could be arrested. Now, this does make them the first serial killer of the area. So I do recommend that you go out there and you see the place for yourself, hear the story for yourself of how the Barnett family robbed people, murdered people, and got away with it until finally somebody said, "Hey, my friend's missing. Can you help me out?" So this was the other side of Wyoming. If you watch, thank you. If you don't watch, that's fine too. I hope everybody's having a great New Year's, and I hope that New Year's is where we finally all get what we deserve and have a very, very good one. See you on the next one. Who knows what we're going to do with the next one? Who knows when the next one's going to happen? All I know is that it's spooky, ooky, kooky time always, all year round. Bye!